is Vijayalakshmi, DAV RTPP, Kadapa, Department of Science. Today let us discuss the topic respiration. Respiration is an energy releasing process. Why we call respiration as an energy releasing process? Because the food that is digested in the digestive system, which is a simple substance like glucose, combined with oxygen to produce energy. And this process is called respiration. During respiration, energy is produced, and this respiration takes at cell level. That's why it is called as cellular respiration. Respiration is an energy releasing process in which the food material is broken down to release energy. The word respiration is derived from a Latin language respi. Respi means breathe. The word respi is derived from a Latin language respiration, which means breathing. Before 14th century, scientists does not know about respiration. They thought respiration is a breathing process. Respiration is a breathing process. They doesn't know what are the gas produced during respiration, what are the gases involved during respiration, what are the substances formed during a respiration, whether the energy is produced during respiration, which gas is produced during respiration, which gas is required for respiration. They doesn't know anything about respiration. They just thought that respiration is a process of breathing. What is respiration? They thought it is a process of breathing. But later in 18th century, two major scientists, Priestley and Lavoisier, have done so many experiments on the component of air or composition of air. Among all these experiments, one of the famous experiment is Lavoisier bell jar experiment. Lavoisier has taken two bell jars with a trough of water. First bell jar, he has burnt charcoal in the bell jar, placing it in a trough of water. When he burnt the charcoal, a gas is released. That gas, he called it as fixed gas. What gas he called it? He called it as fixed gas. Later this fixed gas is called as carbon dioxide. Fixed gas is also called as carbon dioxide. But they don't know it is a carbon dioxide. Next, in the second bell jar experiment, Lavoisier burnt phosphorus. When he burnt phosphorus, he noticed that some part of air is used up. It is not a water vapor. The air which is used up is not a water vapor. It is other than water vapor, and it is called as respirable gas. He named it as respirable gas. So after that, he came into conclusion that when the gases are burnt, when the charcoal is burnt, a gas is produced. The name of that gas, he called it as fixed air or chalky acid gas. Chalky acid gas means which turn the lime water milky. Chalky means milky white in color. When he burned the phosphorus, no chalky acid gas is formed. And the gas that is produced after burning of phosphorus, he called it as vitiated air. What he called it? Vitiated air. The meaning vitiated air is oxygen is used from the air or oxygen is consumed from the air. Oxygen is removed or oxygen is consumed, or oxygen, the component which is essential for burning, is removed. Such air is called vitiated air. He called it as vitiated air. This, when he observed Lavoisier, 1/6 part of vitiated air contains carbon dioxide. 1/6 part of vitiated contain carbon dioxide. To make this vitiated air normal, we have to add respirable gas. Respirable gas is nothing but oxygen. What is the respirable gas? Oxygen. What is the fixed gas? Carbon dioxide. Chalky acid gas is also called as carbon dioxide. To make this vitiated air normal, we have to add respirable air and we have to remove fixed air. Then only this vitiated air will come into normal, changes into normal air. Now from this we can come to conclusion that Air is a mixture of gases. Lavoisier gave the conclusion that air is a mixture of gases. There is a differences in the inhaled composition of inhaled air and composition of exhaled air. And he found that there are two gases involved in respiration or breathing process. The two gases are nothing but carbon dioxide and oxygen. Carbon dioxide and oxygen. Now let us recall a small activity that we have done in the previous classes, that exhaled air consists of carbon dioxide. Exhaled air consists of carbon dioxide. Already we have done these activities in lower classes. Let us recall this activity. For this activity we need two test tubes. Take two test tubes, fill one of the test tube with water, another test tube with lime water. Now blow the air with the help of these two tubes. When you blow the air, the test tube which contains lime water turns into milky white. The property of changing the lime water into milky white is nothing but carbon dioxide. And when you go for this another test tube which contains water, you can see some droplets of air. Droplets of air accumulated on the surface of the test tube. From this we can conclude that exhale consists of water vapor as well as carbon dioxide. The gas which we exhale out consists of carbon dioxide and water. Previously they thought that respiration is breathing. Breathing means taking air inside, giving out carbon dioxide and producing heat in the body. But by the discovery of Priestley and Lavoisier, they came to conclude that this respiration is carried with the help of oxygen and carbon dioxide is formed during respiration. Let us see how the air enters into our body. The pathway of air: nostrils, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli and blood. First, let us discuss about nostrils. Nostril, the nose have two openings. The two openings we call them as nostrils. The air enters through these openings or holes, and the nostrils will open into a cavity called nasal cavity. Let us discuss about nasal cavity. Already you learnt about nasal cavity in class 9. Nasal cavity is lined with mucous membrane, and nasal cavity has small hair-like structures called cilia. The air is filtered in the nasal cavity. The dust particle and other foreign bodies are attached to the cilia, are trapped by the cilia, and air is humidified in the nasal cavity. Humidification means water vapor is added to the air and air become moist. Not only that, the moist air, temperature of the air is also adjusted to that of the body temperature. So warm and moist air enters into the next part of this pathway, that is pharynx. When we talk about the pharynx, pharynx is a common passage both for air and food. It's a common passage both for air and food. Now, when the food enters into the pharynx, it is channelized to the food pipe or esophagus. When air enters into the pharynx, it is channelized to the windpipe or trachea. So, there is a small special flap-like structure is present in the pharynx. This muscle flap-like structure, we call it as epiglottis. What is that flap-like structure present in the pharynx? Epiglottis. This epiglottis will prevent the entry of food particles into trachea. There is a chance of entering the food particles into trachea. Why? Because pharynx is a common passage both for food and air. So that's why, children, while you are eating the food, you are not supposed to talk. When you talk, there may be chance of food particles enter into trachea. See, when you speak, the air passes through the trachea and to send the airways into the larynx, the epiglottis is widely open so that large volume of air enters into the larynx, and larynx is also called as voice box. So whenever you are eating food, while eating, when you talk, there is a chance of opening the epiglottis and channelizing the food into larynx. When the food enter into larynx, the food get choked in the larynx or in the trachea, and leads to the suffocation, sometimes leads to the death of the person. Epiglottis is a flap-like structure or tropic pulleys or a valve-like structure which channelize the food and the air into two different channels and prevent the choking of the food material. From the pharynx, the food enters into the larynx. Larynx is also called as voice box, and larynx contain vocal cords. When you touch your neck region, you can see the voice box or larynx, and it consists of vocal cords. The vocal cords will vibrate and produce sound. Whenever you exhale air, whenever you inhale air, the air enters into the larynx and touches the vocal cords, and vocal cords vibrate and produce the sounds in the form of speech or the song. Now this larynx will open into another long tube-like structure called trachea. Trachea is also called as windpipe. Trachea is made up of C-shaped cartilaginous rings. It is a cartilage. The rings are made up of cartilage which gives stiffness to the trachea. See, when the inhalation and exhalation, during inhalation and exhalation, there may be increase or decrease in the air pressure. Due to the decrease or increase in the air pressure, the trachea may collapse. So to prevent the closing and collapsing of trachea, the trachea is supported by C-shaped cartilaginous rings. Now after that, the trachea will enter into the chest cavity. Inside the chest cavity, the trachea divides into two branches called bronchi, and bronchioles further divides into still smaller branches called bronchioles. At end of the bronchioles, there are small sac-like structures, air sacs. We call them as air sacs, which are very numerous in number. And these sac-like structures, we call them as alveoli. What we call them? Alveoli. Alveoli are the structural and functional unit of lungs. And these alveoli are enclosed with large number of blood capillaries where exchange of gases takes place in the alveoli. The oxygen from the alveoli enters into the blood. With the help of blood, it is transported to each and every cell. This is the pathway of air. Nostrils, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli, blood. Now let us discuss what are the various events in the respiration. The first and foremost event in the respiration is breathing. Breathing means taking air in and out. Breathing is of two types, inhalation and exhalation. Taking air inside is called inhalation. Taking air outside is called exhalation. After breathing, the air enters into the lungs and enters into the alveoli of lungs. Exchange of gases will take place in the alveoli. The oxygen that is present in the lungs enters into the alveoli, thereby enters into the blood. The carbon dioxide that is present in the blood enters into the alveoli. This is called exchange of gases. The oxygen that enters into the blood is transported to each and every cell. The oxygen reaches each and every cell, and the food material is oxidized in each and every cell, producing energy in the form of ATP. Apart from ATP, carbon dioxide and water are also produced in cellular respiration. Cellular respiration takes place in mitochondria. The energy that is produced in cellular respiration is used for all the metabolic activities of our body. Thank you. In next session, we will discuss about mechanism of respiration.